Hey there, Riverica here, reporting for duty on a trigger. Thank you so much for shuffling states of emergency into adoption spirit magic with me and steering clear of danger. Heartily, we are grateful. In this session, we are exploring what Venus conjunct Chiron at 14 degrees of Aries has to tell us about how to move forward, minding our business in the highest love and light. But before that, some disclaimers. I am not a doctor, lawyer, therapist. I'm a fortune teller. So what I offer is no substitute for their services. Furthermore, what I share does not dictate your future. Only your intentions and actions do. So please use your gift of discernment before deciding what to gather and take away. And of course, take only what resonates and blow like a kiss the rest to the universe for cosmic composting back into beauty. And this reading is intended for fun and games, for entertainment, for shits and giggles, for flexing our heart, mind, soul, spirit, and intuition. And at the least, I hope to cause harm to none, and at the most, I hope I may assist you on your healing path. All that being said, let me introduce our helpers in this reading. We have the Crystal Quartz Merkaba, and I invite you to check out online 4 or 5 or 6 different sites. The Merkaba and the crystal quartz, they're metaphysical properties, so you may see what resonates with you, because we are all different psychosocial science experiments. And what resonates with you may not resonate with me. But off the top of my head, I might say what you can associate with this crystal and this shape is protection. You might even imagine yourself in the center of it. And you might also imagine a reflective covering, so any negative coming at you goes back to where it came from as unconditional love and unarmed truths. And you also may imagine that beautiful white light of source in every cell of your body. It's actually in every cell of your body. They've seen it in the microscope, and so that's super sweet. And we also have the Living Altar, an Oracle and Spell Deck for the Radical Witch by Ilvadroma Marzana Radziszewski and Kiki Robinson. And you can find them online at the Living Altar. They are also on Instagram at the Living Altar. And they have their own podcast called Altars Up Witches, which you may enjoy. And on March 9th, 2023, they are offering a tutorial about how to apply this deck of cards. So you can tune in on Instagram and meet them and learn more about this deck. You may also find yourself tuning into the Romanistan podcast when Paulina Verminsky and Jessica Reedy invited Kiki and Ilva on to tell spooky stories on the Halloween episodes, and Kiki and Ilva shared some spooky stories about how this deck of cards was made. That was fun to listen to if you're into that sort of thing. So, without any further ado, we're going to talk more about Venus and Chiron, and of course I invite you to check out on your own about those entities. Venus, the planet, is associated with the divine feminine and self-worth and self-love and your finances and how you're taking care of yourself and so much more. And Chiron is, I believe, an asteroid, but quadruple check me. This has only come to light in the recent past, actually I think since maybe the 70s or 80s, but quadruple check me. And Chiron's the wounded healer, they call him. And you can check out the mythology. And trigger warning, if you're sensitive to family issues, you may fast forward this next little part about Chiron. Chiron was abandoned by his birth family. They totally rejected him, so he grew up with this emotional wound. And he got to the place where he healed that and became a healer of healers. And his hands were so wonderful at his healing work, channeling that healing energy that he was sought after by many. And then later in life, he got this physical wound, and it caused him to end up in the constellations as Sagittarius. And so for adoptees and orphans especially, this is super interesting to contemplate Chiron and how to heal from those abandonment wounds, those rejection wounds, where our families left us behind and perhaps treated us in a negative way and hurt us in these different ways. And Chiron reminds us how we may heal from that and understand that our families weren't bad or evil, but they were just full of loss themselves and didn't know what to do. They hadn't had an opportunity to heal. And so it really gives us all something to think about. It's not just the adoptees and the orphans who have endured these kind of events in their life, right? Loss isn't exclusive. Trauma isn't exclusive to the orphan and adoptee. So many can relate to that. And so let's see what Venus has to tell us about Chiron. And you are a whole, full, powerful, loving spiritual being, and so am I. And we thank your source, spirit band, angels, galaxy guides, saints, sages, gods, goddesses, universe is here for the highest love and light, your ancestors too. Did I mention them already? As well as mine. And we thank your source and my source for immediately shifting situations into what they need to be, offering necessary healings, insights, protection, acts of grace, and heartily we are grateful. So it was, so it was, so it was, so it was. Heartily we are grateful. And thank you for making this reading abundantly clear what Venus has to share with us. Heartily we are grateful. Cutting the deck. And let's see. Full moon. Oh my. And as I look at the calendar, I see we're in the 3-day draw period. The full moon is coming up on the 7th, I believe. Quadruple check me. And so you know how 3 days after and 3 days before the full moon, some of us are feeling the effects. Some even further out. Some of us are super sensitive, right? And so this is a beautiful, beautiful card. The colors, it's like a greenish blue, yellow, green, and then that red thread tied through, reminding us of our Muladhara chakra, and the triangle reminding us of the transformation that takes place. You know, our heart chakra has a star in it with a triangle facing up and then another triangle pointing down, reminding us we have the choice with every situation to let our heart go up or let our heart go down. Sometimes it doesn't feel like we have a choice when we're so bound by loss, right? And so we need to be extra gentle. We want to be extra gentle on ourselves in those times. And we also have some beautiful symbology that you may dive into and dig into. And it looks like runes, right? But quadruple check me on that. And so let's see what this full moon card has to tell us. And this oracle and spell deck, it's split into 3 parts. So there's a witch's wheel correspondence, so I invite you to check out the witch's wheel, 4 or 5 or 6 different versions, and maybe even make your own to really ground this in. And then there's also a spell, and I invite you to pause it and rewind it so you can say the spell 3, 4, 5 or 6, 7 times so it can integrate with you. And then there's a guided message that you may find yourself desiring to journal about. So I'm just giving you a heads up so you can prepare yourself for what's coming. And we'll jump in with the witch's wheel correspondence. And there are some words associated with it, and here we go. Fire, summer, south, young adult, celebration, midday, transformation, cleansing, ritual, and creation. Super beautiful. Big transformation we've been going through. Shifting that old earth into a new earth, dismantling and rebuilding, especially the adoptees coming out of the fog, the orphans coming out of the fog, and creating a whole new way of being, a whole new way of doing social contracts that are more equitable and fair, and cleansing of all the past, all that negative that we had to go through, making rituals of it, making sure we're having fun with that, celebrating. So the spell, here we go. Pencils down. There's literally nothing else that can be done besides give this moment the space it has earned. Encourage it to move forward. I have done everything I could. I trust in what I created to determine and fulfill its own purpose. As I release this wondrous act of love, so do I release my expectations of how it will be received by the world. As I celebrate the completion of the goal I have worked so hard towards, I release my compulsion to micromanage its impact. I release my fear of having my work be misrepresented. I celebrate the change I have experienced in myself as I nurtured my goal into fruition. I have transformed. This is something to celebrate. The world may recognize this transformation before I do. I revel in the vulnerability of being seen. Oh, that's super sweet, especially for all the orphans and adoptees who have come out of the fog and have walked away from family after family after family in order to maintain their integrity by maintaining healthy boundaries, because the boundaries that were in place before weren't so healthy. The contracts in place before weren't so equitable. Perhaps they were more about the parents involved than the children, more as a prescription to overcome the parents' loss than about nurturing the children. And there's so many different ways that could play out, so please take it as it resonates and make it your own. So what a beautiful spell to just honor all the super challenging work that so many of us have been doing. And it's time to celebrate and let go of the past, flush it out, stream in that grace to replace. So beautiful. And the guiding messages, here we go. You have answered the call to action. Release your work into the world. Tend to the space your intentions fill. Make room. Release. Be witnessed. Be complete. So powerful, so intense. I'm just so touched by this card and these messages and this spell. And let me know how you are finding it and what you are making of it and where you are taking it. And that is all I am seeing for you in this reading about Venus conjunct Chiron at 14 degrees of Aries, which happens March 4th, 2023. Thank you so much for helping me breathe life into adoption spirit magic. Until next time, ciao for now. I love you all.